I will upload this to YouTube when we are done here for anybody unable to join live or anybody that misses a portion of these calls. But thanks everyone for those of you who have jumped on live for our monthly safety drumbeat for Matthews safety managers and Matthews sellers. So topic for today is centered around electrical safety. So one solution, as a lot of you guys know, is a manufacturer's rep agency, and two companies that they rep, NSA and eHazard, are with us today to present. And partnered together, NSA and eHazard provide a really great turnkey solution in remedying the required facility updates, trainings needed, and PPE needs as well to ensure total compliance with NFPA 70E, the current electrical safety standard. So first up is going to be Brian McCauley with eHazard. After that, Adam Meza with NSA will finish us up. And as always, guys, if there's questions or anything that you need clarity on, anything at all, feel free to speak up. Don't have to wait until the end if you need some clarity on anything. So Brian, looks like you are already sharing your screen, so I will go ahead and pass it to you.
All right, cool. Well, let's see if this works. Let me know when these, hopefully these slides will come up and you'll be able to see them. All right, hold on.
You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you did.
You did, yeah.
I think I clicked the wrong one. Let's see if that one works.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Let's see if that comes across.
Perfect. Got it.
Hey, all right. I love it when technology works. All right. Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Amanda. I really appreciate it. And to the Matthews International team, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Brian McCauley. I handle sales and marketing for eHazard. And I'll just jump right into this because I don't want to take a lot of the time away from Adam, who will do just an awesome job. I've worked with him many, many years, and he's phenomenal as well. So I want to leave plenty of time for him. So jumping right in, one of the questions I get from customers all the time is, hey, Brian, you've been doing this a long time. What is it that, from the most simplest high level, area, what is it I need to be focused around for compliance? And I always answer that question with 5 things, right? You've got to make sure you have that electrical safety program, and it's got to be up to date, right? So that's important. And we recently had some changes from 2024, so you'll want to make sure those are implemented into your program for NFPA 70E. Secondly, you want to make sure you have your arc flash study done, because that will tell you exactly what PPE will be required before you ever access equipment, whether that's internal employees or electrical contractors. And furthermore, it'll also tell us about those arc flash boundaries and give you voltage data, all that fun stuff. The third is the electrical training there that you can see. And per 70E, this has to be done every 3 years. Now, we do work with a lot of customers that will do an annual program, and so we can roll that through on an annual basis where it's just a refresher, but making sure you have that training capitalized is very important. And then the final step is maintenance, right? Maintaining our electrical equipment within our facility is very, very important. We want our equipment running efficiently and effectively. And at the same time, one of the things that's really happened recently is NFPA 70B, as in Bravo, is now a standard. And that took place January 1st of this year. So we're starting to see a lot more come across from the marketplace in regards to infrared scanning, thermography, also just maintenance programs in general as well, which is something we can help with. And then that final step, which is where Adam's going to come in and really talk about his awesome offering and portfolio, is the electrical PPE. So in a nutshell, these are really the 5 areas that you want to focus on if you're an organization seeking compliance. So just real quick, I was just going to give a brief overview on eHazard. We've been doing this for a very, very long time, and we've got subject matter experts all across the country. We do cover all 50 states, but we also get into the international market as well. Just been in short time amount on the top left there. A lot of our folks, and what separates us from some of the other folks that are out there, is our subject matter experts play a role, and they're on the committees for NFPA, ANSI, IEC, ISO, ASTM. So being able to work with these individuals one-on-one, you're getting the folks that understand this, and they're seeing the future. They're writing these standards as they're coming up. So we play a really, really big role in these committees. The other part of it, our business started from a training standpoint. It's all about educating our customers, right? And we've we probably trained over 125,000 folks at this time. So that's a lot of electrical workers out there that are familiar with our curriculum, that continually come back to us. So we're definitely out there trying to educate the marketplace because that is very, very important. I'm not going to go through the rest of that because I do have a case study that I wanted to spend just a couple minutes on. People always ask me all the time, like, Brian, is there any data that's out there in regards to what these incidents can cost me if I have an arc flash incident that takes place, right? So over the years, I was able to collect one, and this is years back. I've been in this industry 20 years. These are rare. You don't read a lot of articles, and you definitely never see any financial data on this stuff. But what happened was this site in Miami back in 2012. I can't believe this is that long ago now. But they had a maintenance worker that was standing just a little bit too close to the equipment. Now, that site had not done an arc flash study. So the argument could be made that Joe Blow, who was involved with this, didn't know where he could stand. He also didn't know what PPE was required. So what ended up happening, inadvertent contact was made. And unfortunately for Joe Blow, he was wearing a 65-35 polyester cotton blend, which Adam will talk a lot more about. But this is adding fuel to the fire. This is literally the worst thing you could possibly be wearing if an arc flash was to take place. Now, he's on fire from head to toe. He's stopping, he's dropping, he's rolling. He's doing everything that he needs to do to eliminate that threat and that risk from that fire. But he had severe burn injuries, and you can see over the next 3 years of his life, he dealt with it with skin grafts and therapy, and extensive surgeries as well. 5 years later, in 2016, this individual still had not been able to return to work. So first and foremost, I always state, what we need to be concerned with most, and that's safety, right? We want our employees to come in at 8 o'clock and leave at 5 p.m. if that's their shift, but we want them leaving just as they came in, right? Getting back to their families, tucking their kids into bed. There's nothing more important than that. But there is a cost to this, and that's the second part of this. You can see at the very bottom there how you can see the total cost to this company over a 5-year span. Now, this is only tracked through 2016, was $5.8 million or $1.16 million per year if you do the math by year. And you can see what that entails: surgeries, therapy, loss of work wages, loss of productivity, OSHA fines, equipment costs. I mean, when an arc flash takes place, you can't just turn that machine back on or that piece of equipment back on. It's going to need to be replaced. And don't forget about the loss of productivity. There's going to be a loss where you can't keep running, right? But that last piece, that litigation piece, was probably one of the larger parts here because Miss Jones was not happy. Mr. Jones did not come back home the way he left that morning, right? So you had a little litigation there as well. Now, on the other side, this is Miami. On the other side, we have Boston. Now, Boston's kind of the hero here, right? Boston's doing everything by the book. They haven't had any electrical safety recordables in the last 5 years. And you can see that at the bottom. And here's what Boston is doing. They did their arc flash study. They spent about $43,000 on that. They did their electrical training, almost $30,000 on that over 5 years. They purchased PPE, which turned out to be $12,000. Now, this particular site did not have a lot of electrical workers on it, so that's why that PPE number is a little bit on the lower side. Model updates, what they were doing is getting those updates in every 6 months, every couple of years, whatever. But over a period of time, that was $3,600. So you can see over that 5-year span, they spent $87,500. So versus the $1.16 million per year, they spent $17,500 per year. So a massive, massive difference in the overall cost in making sure that you have that commitment to electrical safety. And you can see the spend is just enormous. Now, at eHazard, we do a podcast, and feel free to pop in and listen to any of these. There's about 20 that are out there right now, but it was last year that we had Kimberly Clark on the podcast, and they were there to talk about an arc flash incident that took place in the field. And again, getting this information publicized is very, very rare, but that individual knew us pretty well, trusted us, and shared the information about their arc flash incident from a cost standpoint. So the incident they had, 3 people were involved, and 2 people actually lost their lives, unfortunately. One was seriously injured. Now, out of that, of course, there's a cost standpoint, and he went into it, which I found was really amazing. This Kimberly Clark plant had the incident happen. OSHA shut down that section of production for 30 days for their investigation. Then it took them another 60 days before they could get that area of production up and running again. Now that area of production was responsible in revenue for $300,000 per day. Over 90 days, though, they lost $27 million just on production. Now he went on further to say that by the time they got through the replacement of the equipment, obviously the litigation portion, the fines that they were issued, that the incident, that one arc flash incident, exceeded $100 million to Kimberly-Clark. Again, it's on the podcast. Feel free to pop in and listen to it if you'd like. But you know, there is a major cost when you don't have things buttoned up the right way. All right, just a couple more slides. I'm going to turn this over to Adam because I really want to give him plenty of time here. But here's everything that we can help you with. If there's anything out there that you guys might need assistance with, on the left side, you can see we do arc flash studies. We do electrical safety audits, meaning we can send a subject matter expert to your plants or your facilities and find out what those gaps might be, put together a nice report and help you with your corrective action to get those up to speed. I mentioned this earlier, how important that written electrical safety program is. So we do development, we do reviews, we do updates. So if you have anything like that that needs to be looked at, we can help. We do infrared scanning, which falls into that NFPA 70B as in Bravo. And we also have lockout, tagout services and much more from an engineering standpoint. On the right side, you'll see everything we have from an electrical training standpoint. So you can see that top class is the one that we see the most of people come through, and that's just our NFPA 70E Qualified Electrical Worker class. Now, if you have anybody that works above 600 volts, we do have a high voltage class as well. But the one I wanted to spend a little bit of time on was that train the trainer right here. So if you guys are doing training within your site, and would like to have someone attend the Train the Trainer class, it's about a week-long session, but they leave with unbelievable amount of knowledge. They leave with the assistance and support and really being able to connect with the audience and present. But they all have access to all of our materials when they exit that class and graduate. So you can take those materials with you into your network, and you can utilize that with your teams and start training internally. So it's a nice way to also build up the expertise within your teams as well. But I think that takes us kind of to the end. I mean, I've got 3 or 4 minutes there for questions. If not, I can turn this over to Adam.
Great job, Brian. Adam, I would say jump right in.
Cool. Beautiful. Thank you. Share my screen here. Excellent. Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Yep, we can.
Great.
We have it.
Great. Thank you. I'm just going to move you all right there. Beautiful. Brian, thank you so much for that handoff. Appreciate it. Matthews International team, everybody here, thank you for the opportunity to help. Amanda, thank you for the opportunity. On the call today is Mr. Larry Ensign. He's the VP of National Accounts, responsible for Grainger. Thank you so much, Larry. I see you're on the call. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. My name is Adam Messa. I'm the Field Technical Director for National Safety Apparel. Now let's go ahead and get started. So this is the agenda. Quick introduction: the hazard, arc flash, humans and heat performance. Humans, heat and performance, and building a PPE program. We have an amazing team, an amazing industrial team across this country. You're going to have a lot of seasoned professionals at the ready to help you. And then, of course, we have One Solution, our excellent rep group across the country, a lot of support for you at the ready. Now, our mission, literally since day one, and Brian mentioned it earlier, is getting you home to your families, right? From the battlefield is where we started. From the battlefield to your field across the country, our mission is to get you home, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, right? Safety business is a people business. It's about the mission of getting in your car, going to work, and doing what can sometimes be a dangerous job, and getting home to your family. So that's very much what our mission is. We have an amazing manufacturing footprint across the United States. See all the cities there. Very impressive and high quality ISO certified gear. Next time you get your mail from the post office or from your mail carrier, we probably made that uniform. If you ever hear the sound of freedom in the form of an F-22 Raptor above you, if you're close to an Air Force field or base, we probably made the flight suit fabric that's in that cockpit. We also shut down our plant and retooled during the pandemic to protect doctors and nurses. We also make gear for the thermal industries, for any steel manufacturers, aluminum, metals. And but for today, today's purposes, we're going to focus on arc flash and FR apparel in the form of dry fire and NS Pro. Now, the arc flash hazard, it's a big one. It's a scary thing, very impressive. So here you have two bodies. So NFPA 70E would be the rules for general industry for us, right, in this call today. And then you have OSHA 1910-269. That would be for utilities. Now, who needs arc flash protection? You have the utilities, contractors, general industry, right? So general industry is where we live, right? Powerhouses, folks working on powerhouses, electrical engineers, subject matter experts, maintenance workers. There's going to be a lot of Cat 2 daily wear, right? Head and hands as well. You're going to be required for that. Head protection and shock protection in the form of rubber bolts, graded glove kits. And then, of course, Cat 2, 8 and 12, and then 40 cal. Now, electricity is a heck of a thing. And we've grown so accustomed to live amongst it without ever getting hurt. As we're speaking now, there are wires running through the buildings we're sitting in, and some qualified electrical worker did the math on how many wires you could put together and how much heat that's going to create, and you know, the ambient temperature of the room. There's a lot that went into you interfacing with electricity without getting hurt. So people don't think about it, and it becomes, people aren't afraid of it because they can't see it, right? So one of the biggest mindsets is it's not going to happen to me. You know, an arc flash, it's a terrible thing. We'll see that in a bit, what an arc flash is. Now, what is a cal? A lot of people ask. So I got a lighter and put it under my skin, rather under my hand. It's going to be about, you know, half to a calorie. So you multiply that, right? A higher count of calories across the body, it starts to get uncomfortable really fast. Now, there's a lot of information on that slide. The one data point I want you to remember is 200 degrees, 1/10 of a second, incurable 3rd-degree burn, because that is bad. You can't come back from that, right? The skin won't. And something good to remember, Brian mentioned it earlier as well, street clothes will ignite at 2 to 5 calories. So if you're wearing any meltables, that garment is going to melt and stick to your body. Now, here, let's do a quick exercise. This is great for a video. Started doing this during the pandemic. Everybody, if you'd be so kind, join me. Trust me. Close your eyes. I'm going to close them with you. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm hoping you're closing them there as well. And now I want you to picture going to a spot in your workplace, right, where you're doing a very important job. Let's say for somebody using a computer, you're going to write an email. So you're walking towards that computer, and you're working on the computer, right? And then you write an email and you push send, and you forgot to send. You send it to the wrong people, I should say. So let's say you wanted to send it to Bob and you send it to Fred, and Fred should not know that information on that email, right? Huge mistake. Now, if that mistake caused an arc flash, this is what would happen, right? This is important to connect one's day-to-day work with an electrical professional's job, because it's hard to quantify that. Just imagine when you sent that email, the air spiked 35,000 degrees, shattering the molecular structure of oxygen, rendering it into plasma and sending it right towards you. Now go ahead and open your eyes. That is what an arc flash is. It's a terrible thing that we never want to happen. And it could be a mistake that you cause, or a mistake that was caused ahead of you. And this is what can occur. So that's a 40 cal arc. let's go ahead and get it again with the audio. And you're going to see it in slow motion. So when we started doing the high speed camera, you start to get all of the molten metal and the spray. So all that molten metal is basically coming towards the garment, coming towards the person. It's a super, super intimidating thing. It's a life-altering event. The gear has to protect you. It has to protect you right up to for second-degree burn. So super important to have the right gear you trust, gear you can depend on. Now, the good thing is we have awesome bodies that help to make sure that gear is going to protect you, right? You see a lot of this, you see some of the standards and some of the test methods that are required to make sure gear can protect you. Now, some of the boundaries are good that I like to mention for these presentations is the shock approach boundaries and the arc flash boundary. So you see the restricted approach boundary, right, is the inner bit with only qualified persons can go in there with PPE. Limited approach boundary is going to be qualified and unqualified with PPE. And then you're going to have an arc flash boundary that's going to be different. That's right where the 1.2 calories begin, right? Where you have to start wearing arc flash gears at 1.2 calories. And that's going to change depending on, the calculation. So it can be inside or outside of the shock approach boundaries. Now, humans and heat performance. We're here on the at the end of summer, if you will. But in the heat of summer, this is something that I like to bring up because heat and human performance is a big deal. It can mean the difference between somebody being uncomfortable and working inefficiently, or somebody being comfortable and working efficiently. Now, let's talk about some of the distractions. It's such a big deal, worker distraction, that it shows up in NFPA 70E on Annex Q, right? So humans, to err is to be human, right? You have, if somebody can't focus on the task at hand, that could be the reason that causes, an arc flash, something like that we just saw. So proper donning and doffing is really important. So we want to reduce worker distraction. Now, compliance is part of that, being comfortable in the gear, not having it fight you. This is a study that was done in 2016. So users, over 90% of users were observed not wearing arc flash gear correctly, right? And it gets into the human factor here. Uncomfortable gear, too hot, poor fitting. And here is the superhuman side of it. It doesn't look good. I didn't look cool, right? Unattractive looking. So the human factor is very important when it comes to proper usage of arc flash gear. Now, here's another cool tool that I like to use, a human performance curve. It's the Yerkes-Dotson human performance curve, the stress curve. A little bit of stress is all right. It actually keeps you energized and moving forward. So this is us in the morning, getting up to get our cup of coffee. This is us now, energized and doing our job. Very happy to be here. And then this is us if I keep talking for the next hour or so. We start going into distress. In seriousness, if there's a worker in an uncomfortable environment where they're sweating, they're hot, and their body is not allowed to do what it needs to do, that's when you start getting into distress. Here's another number for heat stress. So studies have shown that you're going to have a loss of productivity over 75 degrees. As soon as you hit 75 degrees, that is not hot. So when you think about that, if the body's not allowed to do what it wants to do, you're going to start getting into a very uncomfortable environment. And then every heat exhaustion incident is dollars and cents, right? 80 grand an incident. Now, the good thing is that there's a lot of technology out there now, and a lot of advancements, right? In fabrics and in arc flash gear technology. So 8 cal is a big standout. You're going to have 37% lighter technologies with 8 cal, and then 17% lighter, 47% lighter for 40 cal. Again, increased comfort, increased performance. So you're going to have the best of both worlds, right? That worker, that qualified electrical worker, number one, is gold right now, because there are there's a lack of qualified electrical workers out there. This is off a New York, I think it was the New York Times paper, and then NICA did a study on this as well. So really important, right, to keep those workers happy. Now, let's talk a little bit about how that's achieved. So hydrophilic and hydrophobic technology. So this is really, really cool. And it gets to the heart, and you'll see what I mean in a bit, of just comfort, right? And efficiency, because the electrical worker, this is their instrument. This is their instrument. If we can heighten that instrument, those instruments, they're just going to be better at the job and do a better job when they're out there. So hydrophilic fibers are fibers that love moisture. They hold on to moisture. Don't let them go. Don't want to let them go. And then hydrophobic fibers will push moisture away, right? You put those together in the right way, you're going to have a very impressive moisture management, right? You're going to have garments that are going to dry 2 to 3 times faster than gear, a regular standard, old-fashioned garments, and they're going to perform very, very well and let the body do what it wants to do. Now, here's a perfect visualization of that. So your skin, right? When you sweat comes to the surface of the skin. It's going to absorb that heat on the surface of the skin, that organ, right? The skin is an organ because that's the closest part of your closest organ to the air, right? Sweat's going to surface, absorb that heat, evaporate, and it pulls heat away from your body, right? Now, I'm just going to go a little deeper. Just follow me here. Your blood, actually, under your skin, the blood will go to close to the surface of your skin, right below it, and it'll cool itself at the skin and then send that cool blood to your organs and the rest of your body. So it's super important that your skin is allowed to sweat and to do what it wants to do. Now, there are technologies now that allow the heat and moisture to escape. So for example, here's a base layer, the shirt you'd wear under your gear. This hydrophilic and hydrophobic version would pull moisture from the skin, push and pull moisture away from the skin, and then again through a similar outer layer. And that's exactly what you want to do, because one has to wear the gear correctly, right? So this is a perfect example of arc flash gear, or in this case, a daily wear uniform being properly worn, right? So you have a tucked in garment, you have snaps up, cuffs, buttoned up and properly worn. So you have to be able to wear the garment correctly and still be comfortable. Now, what does it do? What does our comfortable PPE do? It's going to reduce distractions. It's going to reduce heat stress, increase compliance, and it's going to improve worker satisfaction. And if you can get that, achieve that, it goes a heck of a long way. Now, here's some of the dollars and cents, right? So if somebody doesn't, here's some of the costs basically that you would incur as one would incur as a company without proper care of the gear and proper use of the gear, I should say. And more importantly, it's that priceless aspect, right? It's just folks knowing, hey, that happened, happened to us. So how do you build a program, right? It depends. So here's we're going to review it here. So the elimination, substitution, engineering controls, administrative controls, PPE, that's your hierarchy of controls, right? So first you would do a hazard risk assessment arc flash study, and a much smarter man than me once said, a proper program will have a little bit of all of these, right? And PPE is the last resort. I want you to think about PPE as a parachute. It's not something that you're going to rely on. It's the last line of defense. So it's just like you never want to ignore any of this in the beginning, right? So it being a parachute, it's really important that you have a high quality parachute, right? So if somebody hands you a parachute that's of a lesser quality and asks you to jump from a plane, you're not going to want to jump, right? You want to have the best PPE, best parachute. You want to, again, use the hierarchy of controls to eliminate or reduce the hazard, provide the appropriate PPE, and educate employees. That education portion is super important. And that's where, Brian, a company like eHazard would come in. Now, there are different ways to build a program. You can use the incident energy analysis method, right? So you go around the plant, you do your study, you label every location, what everything, what incident energies are capable in every location, and then you protect to the hazard, right? Or you use the tables. It could be a task-based or daily wear, right? Is it are you in a wet environment? Is it a dynamic environment? Is it going to change? And you have to have head-to-toe protection. So I do not like to floss, and I communicated that with my dentist once, and he said, "No problem, Adam. You don't have to floss." all your teeth. You only have to floss the teeth you want to keep. So I like to say you want to wear, cover the parts of your body you want to keep, head to toe protection. Here's an example of gear, how you would approach an incident energy analysis method, right? 1.2 calories to 12. And then when you jump over 12, you're going to protect to the hazard. Most people will just go to Cat 4, okay? And then these are the categories. This is all from 70E, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 4. And if you have questions about this, feel free to reach out to us, or you can ask at the end of the presentation. Environmental conditions are super important too. Are you going to be in a hot environment? Is it cold? Is it windy? What are the working conditions? NFPA 70E requires proper lighting within when you're doing the work. So if you don't have proper lighting, you want to make sure to address that with stand light, or you can add lights to for example, our arc flash kits. What type of a garment is it? Do you need to look very professional when you're wearing it? The functionality, and also really important is washing. If the gear, for example, a task-based kit, if the gear is not clean, people won't want to wear it. Your limbic system, the part of your body, that your nervous system that keeps you safe, that tells you don't get too close to that ledge, will, if you put on a jacket that doesn't smell right, you're not going to want to keep it on. Your body will say, take that off, it's going to make me sick. So really important that cleaning is taken into account when purchasing gear. Now, I love to highlight some of our offering here. So Dryfire, the FR Apparel brand, our premium brand that was built in the battlefield, born in the battlefield, I should say, in 2007, literally to protect the good men and women who keep our country free. So a very high standard in safety, right? So from that field to your field, we've diversified into the industrial space with very impressive hydrophilic and hydrophobic technology you see there on the right of the screen that are going to help folks be comfortable and still protect them. We offer a multitude of different FR Apparel shirts, pants, and vests to keep workers safe and comfortable. Here's just one of them, a quick highlight. Technologies that will keep you, reduce perspiration by 34%, keep you 3 degrees cooler in the summer and 3 degrees warmer in the winter. Very impressive technologies. To jumping to our arc flash kits. So this is our Arc Guard Performance. This is literally the best ingredient components that exist in the 40 cal space, and we put them together in the Ines Pro design. This is an end user inspired kit, from the knit material on the side and under the arms to allow for proper reach, not blind reach, but a proper reach, and then lifting of the arms as well. Antimicrobial fabric in the collar to kill the germs that cause odor. Really important to keep that fresh. And then 26-inch zippers to make it easy to don and doff the bib. Articulated elbows and articulated knees, very much from our thermal background. A very impressive, high caliber, very lightweight garment that'll breathe. So there's actually a membrane in the interior of the garment that allow the garment to breathe and allow moisture and heat to escape from the kit. Now, one thing, a good question to ask I know there's a lot of safety professionals out there. If you have any green face shields, if you can get rid of them, I would highly recommend it. A lot of those green face shields are going to have organic materials that will deplete in UV over time. Also, the green face shield will distort colors. You can see here on this example what a green face shield looks like compared to a gray face shield. You're going to have seeing through it, I should say. You're going to have better color recognition, a lot easier for the qualified worker to see what they're doing. We've actually had customers who've told us that they've actually had workers that have lifted their face shield in the arc flash zone to verify that the gear was working, that was properly wired. So a great way to just help people see clearly. We like to say, be seen and be able to see. All right. So make sure, if you don't have lighting, we can always add lighting to the hoods. And then we have enhanced visibility on the kits as well. This was actually NECA's idea, the National Electrical Contractors Association. Another great innovation are these very high-end hoods. So we offer hoods with ventilation. You're going to have a lot of offset venting and a toric lens to minimize any type of glare. You can also add lighting to the sides. These hoods are really comfortable. You can step outside the blast zone, get a breath of fresh air, kind of reset, and then go back in there. People love our hoods. Now, another big pain point in 70E is balaclavas. For the safety professionals out there, think to yourself, has anybody ever come to me in the heat of summer and said, hey, boss, I can't wait to go put on my balaclava and do some Cat 2 troubleshooting? That's probably never happened because balaclavas are a huge pain. And I'm being Larry's kicking me if he would kick me if he was here, being a terrible salesman because we sell tons of balaclavas, but I know that how they're received in general industry, people don't like to wear them. So if that is a pain point, if there's a problem with balaclava usage in the field, you can remedy that by wearing one of our 12 cal shrouded systems. So NFPA 70E says you have to wear 12 a 12 cal face shield and 12 cal balaclava or a hood. This is tantamount to a hood, so you'd be all set and protected, following the rules. Now, you can't just go around spending money, the company's money at a whim. You want to be able to protect the investment, right? So we've actually provided the tool to do just that. So this is our PPE gear bag. We also have a backpack version, a standard one, and then a premium one that protects the hood like this kit. So there's a structured box in the interior of the bag that will protect the hood from being broken or scratched. That's a big deal because the hood is the most expensive part of the kit. There's also a pocket in the front to protect your glove kit. Even one hole in those rubber voltage rated gloves and you've lost shock, right? Also rubberized bottom, ASTM D120 standard, personal pockets in the interior to put a wedding ring or watch, and also an aerated garment side in the bag. Now these kits work. I fly out of Chicago and they gotta go. It's quick. They put these in the belly of a plane, never had a broken face shield. Very, very impressive. I can look at you all and say that these bags do protect. And there's a good shot of our backpack there. NSA can also help you with shock protection. See all the different classes right there on the D120 standard. Here are some of the standards that exist to keep us all safe, right, and healthy. Again, when you buy the gear, you want to use the gear when you crack the seal within the first 12 months, and you got 6 months in the field, and then you want to have those recertified every 6 months. You want to avoid all those below there. And then if you ever have any questions on our gear, please don't hesitate to contact us. You always want to remove the gloves as well from the leather protectors. Do not fold. You don't want to fold those gloves because it's gonna. If you ever had rubber and when you're a kid, maybe on a bicycle or something, and you squeeze the rubber, you see that bit of white there. Those pores will open up, and you just don't want that. It's gonna cause checking and damage the rubber. Very, very important to keep those gloves whole. That's the only thing between you and shock. We have an excellent offering of class 00, 0, and 2. We also make zeros in Illinois as well, USA made zeros. So we're here to help with shock protection as well. Here are the resources that we can offer as far as our websites, Think NSA and SPRO, and then customer service you see there. You can reach out to us directly with any questions to either Larry or myself. Now, what questions do we have? Do we have any questions on the categories or the incident energy analysis method? How about fiber technologies? Any fabric technologies? Any questions about that? All right. Amanda, I'll throw this back to you. Here's our contact information. We very much appreciate the time today. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it. Guys, if any questions come up, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will get all of this content out to everybody after the call, and I will upload things to YouTube. And then for my Grainger sellers, I'm just going to ask that you guys, your call to action is just have conversations around electrical safety for your sites, whether that be PPE, training, arc flash assessments. Please go out and have those conversations and let us know where we can go out and support. But Adam, thanks so much. Justin, thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for the time, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy the Labor Day weekend.
Thanks for coordinating, Amanda. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.